You take a look at these scummy Republican, the Christian fascists, these psycho son of a bitches who are clustering around their candidate as if he really was the Messiah. And now he has his St. Paul, J.D. Vance. You've got Jesus and Paul. There they are. Trump and Vance. Oh, yay. Hallelujah. But the whole circle jerk in Milwaukee has become this gathering. I look as the camera scans the crowd, and I see what appears to be, normal people. People I see at the grocery store. People I see when I go to my favorite jazz club. People I see when I'm going for a walk. People I see when I go to the mall. There they are. But if you look closely, which I try to do, what I see are people who have become so fucking turned off to reality that they're willing to get together, several thousand of them, in this shithole place in Milwaukee for a Nazi rally. And when is the orange fucker supposed to talk? Is that tomorrow? Is that Thursday night? With his little white flap over his goddamn ear. And I think about all these slimy so-called Republicans who are, according to news media, all clustered together like a bunch of goddamn flies around a dead rat at this convention, standing in line impatiently to kiss Trump's ring. I would put it a different way, but that's the way national media puts it. Kiss the ring. Yeah, if you remember, was it just back in February when Governor Nikki Haley said this to Donald Trump, quote, "The problem now is he's not the same person he was in 2016. He is unhinged. He is more diminished." End quote. But last night, I don't watch this, but I'm going by published reports. Last night, she spoke from the stage at this Nazi rally. And towards the end, I guess it was the end of her little jerk off for Donald Trump, she said, quote, I'll start by making one thing perfectly clear. Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, end quote. So another one bites the dust. It's just insane to me. All this whole lineup of former Republican politicians who cursed and damned this orange filth for what he truly is months ago, years ago, and now are on their knees in front of him with their hands upraised and their faces upraised as they gaze up at the shining light of Donald Trump with the white fuck on his ear, going, "Oh, Lord and Master, oh, touch me, just touch me, oh." And then DeSantis. You might recall he said this of Trump a few months ago, quote, "You can be the most worthless Republican in America, but if you kiss the ring, he'll say you're wonderful." And then on Tuesday night, DeSantis did just that. Now, I read a published report that said, among other things, this is something that the little criminal fuck Ron DeSantis said, quote, "Life was more affordable when Donald Trump was president. Our border was safer under the Trump administration. Our country was respected when Donald Trump was our commander-in-chief." Well, the reality is, and I'm not telling you, gentle listener, anything you don't know, this is the reality of Trump's Nazi party. Either you kiss his ring and any other part of his anatomy that you can find, and you show total obedience, or you are an enemy. And Trump's enemies, of course, don't fare too well, do they? They, for the most part, they get defeated when they try to get reelected. They get, what's the term, primaried, because the orange filth orders it so. But both DeSantis, believe it or not, and Haley, believe it or not, this is the consensus anyway in the political chatting classes, both these two scum want to run for president again. I'd like to tell both of them, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't you understand what you are endorsing an end to presidential contests, Haley? DeSantis, you stupid fucks. When you enforce Trump, what? You think you're going to when? In 2028? In 2032? 36? 40? There's not going to be another show like this once this filthy fascist Donald Trump gets his claws and his family's claws into the presidency. But both of these dumb fucks, and don't even get me started on Rosanna Dana Ramaswamy, boy, did he make another ass of himself, if that's possible, last night. But these two, DeSantis and Haley, oh yeah, they would like to run for president again, and both know that the only way to preserve that possibility is to more or less get behind Trump. And what do they do when they're behind him? Well, whatever he wants them to do. A little lower, oh, right there. They have to get behind Trump wholly and unapologetically. I love Donald Trump. Let me be perfectly clear. I fully endorse. I had a little bit of hope when it was the lineup for this display of fucking political insanity. The lineup of people who are going to get out there and mumble the words to get this filthy pig elected. I had hope that maybe one of them, just one, would in the middle of his or her speech stop and say, yo, wait a minute. Hold up here. Wait. This is fucking crazy, all you delegates. Why are we having a convention for a fucking rapist criminal who tried to overthrow our government? What the fuck are we doing? And then turn around and walk off the stage. Yeah. Okay. See, I don't believe in the tooth fairy anymore or God in heaven, but I still have weird-ass fantasies like the one I just shared with you. Oh, Ted Cruz. Every time I hear Cruz, I hear echoes of the anti-Jewish madness that swept through Germany when Hitler was rising to power. And the horrible, hideous, unspeakable outcome of Hitler's rise. The systematic murder of 6 million, 7 million, 8 million Jews? Nobody knows for sure. Including babies and children, 5 and 6-year-olds, getting off the fucking boxcars at Treblinka or Sobibor or Auschwitz and holding on to mommy's hand and making a right turn and walking into the fucking gas chambers. I keep thinking I can't get that. I can't unsee the video or the films I've seen. I can't unread the books I've read about the Holocaust. I can't do it. It's with me. And it's been with me for 60 goddamn years. And I think about the run-up to that slaughter and how the Jews were targeted. And then I hear the way immigrants are targeted in this country. Oh, of course there's a vast difference. But in my mind, I hear the same soundtrack coming out of the mouths of fucking cretins like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, whose father was an immigrant. From that communist shithole, the Republicans want to call it, Cuba. There is something about Senator Cruz's forehead, a knitting of his eyebrows, that gives him a default appearance of sheepishness. Or perhaps this is simply projection, an assumption that someone who made the claim that Cruz offered at the Republican convention last night would feel at ease, or at least some remorse about having done so. That's what Philip Bump wrote this morning, the beginning of his column in the Washington Post. And I think about, as Bump is doing here, I think about the people, the thousands of delegates standing out there when Ted Cruz was saying what Hitler said about the Jews. Ted Cruz is saying about immigrants. They're poisonous. They're criminals. They're insane. They're infecting the country. I mean, God fucking damn it, we've heard this before, or we've read about it. And yet there it is in Milwaukee, happening now, right now. When the mob that Trump assembled to overthrow the government, when it was building, when the numbers were increasing outside the Capitol on January 6th, Cruz was in the Senate chambers making an argument about the need to reject the electoral votes in support of Biden from states Biden had won. And as Philip Bump puts it, quote, for Cruz, the moment was one at which he could get attention for his fervent embrace of his party's rightmost fringe rather than a manifestation of indifference to a democratic election. That is simply how Cruz approaches politics. And it's not just Ted Cruz, lest you think I am just zeroing in on this filthy pig. Every single member of the Christian Fascist Party who opens his filthy fucking mouth or her filthy fucking mouth to speak says the same thing, advocates for the same thing, wants to destroy the country the same way Trump does, hates America, wants everyone to become a nut fucking insane Christian fascist like they are. Last night, this Christian devil, Ted Cruz, began this way, quote, we are facing an invasion on our southern border, not figuratively, a literal invasion. 11.5 million people have crossed our border illegally under Joe Biden, end quote. That is, anything out of the mouth of these assholes, that's a fucking lie. A number of those counted as having been arrested or detained at the border were turned away. Millions more were deported. Millions remain in some form of detention in this country, but not to these Christian devils. They wanted all the Jews killed in Germany. They want all the immigrants removed in America. Remember why they wanted the Jews killed in Europe. Because the Jews murdered their phony fucking Messiah. That's why. Well, we'll get back at you. Might have happened 2,000 years ago. But Jew, you're going to die now. This is what they are doing. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.